welcome to another episode of Everyday Autism Problems. And I'm wearing the same jumper as in the last one because it's approximately 20 seconds after I filmed that. Anyway, today's topic, and also welcome to the month of April, and with that Red Instead Autism Acceptance Month and all those things, and it's day 13. And today's topic is politeness. What's so problem about that? Well, there's actually quite a few. First of all, politeness consists basically of a lot of random rules that don't really seem to have, or just have marginal purposes. And well, they're just kind of confusing because they seem very, very random sometimes, and then they also have random rules about when to do them and when not to do them, and that's confusing. Like, for example, looking at certain aspects of people at a certain time, but not too much, but also not too little, and nobody can actually tell you what the exact amount is. So you just sort of have to figure it out yourself and probably be wrong about it and uncomfortable while you're doing it. But yeah, random rules. And then you also have to sort of react very quickly without any warning, because a situation where you might need to follow certain rules about being polite can happen very, very suddenly. Or it just, at least it seems like you run into someone, and not literally, just metaphorically, you meet someone, and then suddenly you have to say hello because suddenly they're there and they're expecting you to acknowledge their presence, and they're expecting you to not just acknowledge their presence, but acknowledge it in a very certain way, and you can't just go like you. And in some situations you're required to, shake their hand, although currently not, which I enjoy, but anyway. And then sometimes they're expecting something else, and sometimes they may not even expecting you to say hello at all, because, I don't know, maybe there's a situation where they don't. And then you also need to do that in a certain register and speaking a certain way, and that can differ depending on the context that you're in. So you need to think about what sort of context am I meeting this person in, what might they expect from me. And then you're not allowed to speak too loudly, but also not too quietly, and that needs to also adapt to the situation. And that's very difficult to control sometimes. And I mean, just that people expect you to speak at all, actually. Just speaking. I don't know why people have so much need to speak so much. Like, you can communicate with body language. I realize that I'm speaking a lot, but here, in real life, not so much, because speaking is difficult. But you just need to I don't get why people get so mad if you just like wave them hello and not speak to them. Like, can I just walk into a room without having to speak, please? Anyway, and then sometimes people also, I mean, currently not, but people expect you to touch other people, and that's somehow polite, like shaking someone's hand or having to hug a family member, and it's just like, why? And then at the same time it's polite, sometimes it's polite to not touch people. I mean, apparently that's always polite again, but like at certain times it's not allowed to certain people, and that's sort of, you always need to be aware of when am I allowed to do what exactly. And it's just a lot of things to think about. and that you may not always know the rules to. And generally just... Okay, let's get serious. More serious for a minute here, if that's possible. There's this thing that I've come to think about that I sort of call politeness culture. Which, in a way, it seems to me that a lot of people think there's these sort of rules. There are rules, that I don't need to put them in quotes. These rules of being polite, and they're very, very, very strict in a certain way, and a lot of people seem to think that they're more important than sort of that person's well-being, because they somehow feel personally offended when someone doesn't say hello to them in words. Like, you could acknowledge someone's... I understand that the sort of concept that someone might want to have their presence acknowledged if someone else enters the room, but like you can... I usually, with my family, I just do it like this. And I don't need to speak for that. I just sort of go like, I acknowledge your presence. And I don't really understand why, like, or with like strangers, I get screamed at a lot on buses because I don't say hello to the bus drivers. I just like nod at them and like, hello, you are a human being. I acknowledge that you are present. And like, that's it. I don't... Speaking can be exhausting, especially in these sort of like, when you rarely suddenly have to do it and you didn't really have any warning. And then I often accidentally say things too late or too quietly, because it's sort of it's very, very hard, and sometimes it's difficult to control, and people take offense about that quite a lot, which I don't really understand and I don't like. And that's this sort of concept that you being polite to them, what they consider as polite, is far more important to them than, you know, that actually then, yeah, your well-being, while having to observe all of these rules all of the time, which, I know, it annoys me sometimes. I mean, like, if you're... Why do people get randomly annoyed at other people for not saying hello to them? That they could not be physically able to say hello. And like, then what? Why would you get annoyed at someone then? Yeah, I don't know. This suddenly got very philosophical, I think. I apologize. Yeah, that's all I had for today. I hope that you have enjoyed it and either found it amusing or interesting or whatever else. And I will hope, well, first of all, if you did, you know, consider giving this video a thumbs up. This seems to be my new choreography for saying this. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did and you are not subscribed yet, please do consider doing that. I would very much appreciate it. And I will hope to see you tomorrow or next week, or, you know, anytime, for another video.